Hi, today we gonna present to you cash budget between Digi and Maxis. This is our members.
We chose Maxis Berhad and Digi.com Berhad because in our opinion, they are two of Malaysia's top telecommunication service providers. As proof, Maxis has recorded significant growth in all categories within its core consumer business and sustaining momentum in its enterprise business, while Digi continuously strengthens their finances by developing and creating personalized, engaging, and secure digital products and services. Now, I will explain about trend analysis of Maxis Berhad. Based on the figure, Maxis Berhad has increased his current ratio from 0.57 in 2017 to 0.59 in 2018. However, the current ratio gradually decreased throughout the following years. Next, the quick ratio shows a lower trend in the first 3 years, starting from 0.49 in 2017 until 0.46 in 2019, while in 2020, there are slight increases with ratio 0.59 followed by a sharp decrease to 0.39 in 2021. Based on the figure, Maxis receivables turnover increased dramatically from 9.27 in 2017 to 11.29 in 2018, then decreased for the next 2 years before rising to 9.28 in 2021. Besides, the trend for fixed asset turnover over the past 5 years has been declining, with starting value at 1.86 in 2017 and ending at 1.34 in 2021. Meanwhile, for the asset turnover, there are a slight increase from 0.45 in 2017 to 0.47 in 2018 and then decreasing once more to 0.45 in 2019, following 0.41 in both 2020 and 2021. Based on the figure, Maxis Berhad had the highest return on assets in 2017 with ratio of 11.27. However, in the subsequent years, the ratio was gradually declined until ratio of 5.9 in 2021. Next, Maxis Berhad's return on equity ratios figures decreased throughout the years, which started with 37.26 in 2017 to 18.99 in 2021. Based on the figure, financial leverage ratio has a rising trend, which suggests that Maxis Berhad's debt ratio has climbed starting in 2017 with 2.73 to 3.34 in 2021. Next, the debt equity ratio decreased slightly from 1.06 in 2017 to 1.04 in 2018 before climbing to 1.12 in 2019. Maxis Berhad was able to lower the amount of debt equity ratio down from 1.35 in 2020 to 1.2 in 2021.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is FATEHAH AMIRAH and I will continue the presentation of the trend analysis for Digi.com Berhad company. First, I will start with the liquidity ratio. There are two calculated ratios in liquidity, which is current ratio and quick ratio. Based on the line graph here, the current ratio of Digi had their highest value of 0.83, satisfying its current debt and other payables. However, all the following years, Digi's current ratio decreased noticeably. Thus, it shows that throughout the years, Digi does not have enough current assets to cover its current liabilities. On the other hand, in 2017, the quick ratio was still the highest, 0.67. Then it started to marginally decline in 2018 to 0.63. After the third year, the ratio continued to decline until 0.38 in 2021. Therefore, through this 5 year trend, Digi having a liquidity problem as it decreased by year. The second calculation is activity ratio, receivable turnover, fixed asset turnover, and asset turnover. Based on the line graph, Digi started off with high receivable turnover ratios of 16.76 in 2017. Although the next 2 years the ratios were declined, it started to rise back until 15.33 in 2021, which indicates that Digi had improved its ability to collect account receivables. Additionally, the fixed asset turnover in 2018 climbed marginally by 2.25 before it declined for the following 2 years. A rise by 1.09 was happened in 2021, indicates that Digi was effectively used their fixed asset to to generate sales. Finally, asset turnover reached a high of 1.12 in 2018, but then fell for the next 2 years. However, Digi was able to increase their sales in 2021 by effectively managing their resources as the ratio increased to 0.79. Moving on to the third calculation, profitability ratio. In 2017, the return on assets was 26.06, following a peak of 25.60 in 2018. It fell sharply during the following 3 years, hitting 14.50 in 2021. Which reveals Digi had a low capacity to generate sales from its current assets. Digi Berhad reached its highest return on equity in the year 2017 at 284.53, but it gradually decreased in the 4 years after that. This situation might not be beneficial for Digi to get more investors as their solidity has decreased over the year. Lastly is leverage ratio. For Digi financial leverage, it peaked in 2017 at 11.25, but in 2018 it hit a new low. However, the following years it continued to climb until highest of 13.51 in 2020 before dropping into 2021. Digi has the lowest debt to equity ratio in 2018. It also noted an increase in 2020, which was 7.27 times higher than in early years. But the ratio dropped in 2021, which shows that Digi has some problems fulfilling their financial obligations.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, I will explain about comparison analysis between Maxis and Digi company. I will start with liquidity ratio. Based on the figure, it explains about the current ratio, which is used to figure out how quickly debts can be paid off. The current ratio shows that the Digi Berhad higher than Maxis Berhad. Other than that, it shows that Digi has more asset than debts. Therefore, the number shows that Maxis Berhad is better than Digi Berhad because it is less able to meet short-term obligations using assets than Digi Berhad. Based on the figure, it illustrates the quick ratio for both companies, which is a measure of their ability to satisfy short-term obligations using only their most liquid assets. From this graph, we can see that Digi Berhad is higher than Maxis. Therefore, Digi Berhad has the highest quick ratio, which means it has the most liquid asset and is better than Maxis Berhad. Based on graph, it showed the difference in receivables turnover ratio between Maxis Berhad and Digi Berhad. From the bar graph, there was a significant difference in the ARTO ratio for Digi compared to Maxis. As we can see on the chart, Digi get the highest ratio compared to Maxis. Therefore, Maxis company is more resilient and efficient using assets than Digi company, as they are able to quickly manage in collecting debt or credit sale from customers. Based on the graph, it is shown that in the first 2 years, Digi leads in fixed asset turnover FATO ratio. But unfortunately, in the following 3 years, the ratio will lead by Maxis, even though their ratio in those years gradually decreased. But therefore, Digi managed their fixed asset well compared to Maxis in generating sales. This graph shows the asset turnover ratio of Maxis and Digi Berhad. From the graph, asset turnover ratio for Digi shows significantly higher than Maxis in the 5-year comparison. Digi recorded its highest ratio in 2017, but in the following 3 years, the ratio became decreased. In contrast, there is no significant difference in Maxis asset turnover ratio. Thus, Digi performed better managed in utilizing all assets to produce sales.
Now we continue to profitability ratio. Figure that shown in the slide show the return on asset of Maxis and Digi Berhad. From the graph above, Digi return on asset is significantly higher compared to the Maxis for the 5-year. Yet, both of these companies have had a diminishing return on asset over the past 5 years, implying that they may have overinvested in assets that have failed to generate revenue growth. and if this trend continue, they may be in trouble. Let's move on to leverage ratio. From the graph above, show a financial leverage on Digi and Maxis. From the graph bar, we can see that Digi is significantly higher than Maxis. Therefore, Maxis is better than Digi because the lower leverage ratio is, the easiest it will be to secure a loan. The higher ratio, the higher financial risk and less likely to receive favorable terms or be overall denied from loan. Based on the graph that's shown above, state a debt and equity between Maxis and Digi. We can see that debt and equity for Digi is higher than Maxis for the 5-year analysis. Overall, Maxis performed better based on debt and equity as compared to Digi. It is shown that Digi has more liabilities than asset, and this company may consider extremely risky.
Next, I will explain about ways for both companies to improve their financial position. Firstly, cut down on company expenses. It is one of the best ways to improve the company's financial position is to find and cut back on expenses that are not necessary. Spending money on things that are not necessary can have a big effect on a company's ability to make money. Second, create the offer and price. It is important to know and follow on the latest prices. By doing this, the company can get rid of product that cannot be sold. With the right pricing, the company can find ways to make more money and grow their businesses. Lastly, boost the company's revenue and profits. There are a lot of ways to help the company make more money and sell more. One of them is to set measurable goals for how much the company wants their sale and profit to grow. They can also track their progress and successes to keep themselves and their sales teams motivated.
Now, moving on to the part, the importance of calculated ratios. In this study, there are 4 ratios that are being evaluated. First is liquidity ratio, activity ratio, profitability ratio, and leverage ratio. Each point of this importance indicates for each ratio. The first point is for liquidity ratio. Liquidity ratio is important calculation as it an indicator of a company's overall financial well-being. It shows the company ability to manage their short-term liabilities that useful for both users, internal and external in decision making. Second point is activity ratio help in tracking how well a company manages all of its resources and assets in generating sales. The calculation helps in determining the efficiency of a company entirely. Therefore, higher activity ratios tell us that the company is performing better outcomes. The next point is calculating the leverage ratios can evaluate the company's position in meeting its financial obligations. These ratios show how much debt is utilized in a company's capital, and it determines the stand of the company on that, which is crucial for the users to strategically plan their moves. Lastly, the importance is to reveal a company's solidity, which by means from the calculation of the profitability ratios. This calculation shows how well assets are managed and how solid the capital structure is, which is one of the important elements that are taken into consideration by the stakeholders and investors. That's all from me. Thank you.
Now, let me continue with the last point, which is expectation on the future outlook. First, we go to the Digi. As one of the country's leading providers of digital service and telecommunication, Digi are committed to going above and beyond for each and every one of their customers and giving all Malaysian reliable access to the greatest network available. In order to meet their projection, they are pressing forward with their execution of their strategic goals, which include speeding up the process of modernizing and digitalizing internal procedures, increasing investment in network enhancements, and expanding their responsible business commitments. They have revised their forecast after considering the global inflation outlook and the growing interest rate environment. Maxis continue to maintain a natural stance on the company due to the fact that they do not see any significant catalyst in their near term that would drive the group future profits. Risks include the possibility of a pricing war as well as difficulty in distinguishing their goods from those of their competitors and the possibility that the firm may be unable to halt the decrease in prepaid income. However, Maxis has observed that the group is capable of generating a bigger profit margin when they are contrasted with other telecommunication companies. That's all from us. Thank you for watching this video to the end.